Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm in my home greenhouse this evening. As you can see from the last video, those of you that watched it, everything's marching along in here. Must have grown 6 or 8 inches in a few days. I've had to cut the top out of this first tomato, so it would have been growing through the window. I've just lifted the first of the potatoes up from down there. I'm going to cut these off now and prep them and try and do the first grafts. This one's about ready, I think. Really, they're about the same sort of diameter stems as the tomato plants, so I'm going to have a go at this first one. I've lifted it up to make this cut, but I'll have to do the graft down in its positions. I won't be able to move it around with the tomato stalks taped to them, so I'll bring you back in a bit. Cheers. Well, that didn't quite go to plan. I hadn't realised that this grafting tape is just the cheapest, nastiest, like non-adhesive sort of cellophane or cling film type stuff you can get, and you'd need like 15 pairs of hands to hold everything steady while you try and wrap it. So what I've done in the end, I used a really small piece of self-adhesive packaging tape just to pull the joint together, and then put like a little barbecue skewer as a splint, and used a bit of the grafting tape, don't have to see that without the sun, just to hold it to the splint. So that plant's already just drooped a little bit. This one may do the same, but hopefully within a couple of days they'll have actually sort of taken. You know, the plant will pick up because it's drawing moisture through the potato. So I'll keep an eye on these and see what happens. I've just used a kitchen knife to do this, a little paring knife. Get it in a picture without cutting the tomato in half. You can buy a proper tool that actually cuts a V and a tongue, but I think they're meant more for trees, for harder stuff. I think it would just crush these stalks. So the first one's done anyway. We shall see. I'll check in on it. Might be tomorrow, might be Thursday, and then we'll see how it's doing. Might surprise us and take off. So I'll leave it for there for now. Cheers. They're all looking a bit thinner now. I've taken all the side shoots out now. I've potted a few up to make some new plants, a couple for me and others for ones I've promised to a couple of friends. I've also had 2 watering cans in here, and I've just stuffed a load more offshoots into each of the watering cans. So this will be a bit of a tomato lucky dip, but they'll throw a load of roots out in the water, and then if anybody I know wants some extra ones, it'll be a bit of a lucky dip, but they'll be ready to plant sort of straight away when they grow roots. So these look a bit sort of sorry for themselves now, as I've obviously thinned out all the side shoots. I missed one there, but they'll benefit from it because they can concentrate on the fruit trusses now rather than growing side shoots. So right, I think that'll do me for today. Hopefully all these will droop over, then hopefully pick up again. I need to put these chilies in some bigger pots, and I need to get them squashes planted out somewhere. So that can be a job for Thursday perhaps. So I'll call it a day for this evening. Thanks for watching. Cheers now. Hi, it's actually a few days since I last recorded in here. I'm not going to do it as a separate video. I'll tag the various recordings this week into one single video. For one reason or another, I've not made it either out here or at my allotment. I had a medical appointment on Friday and got caught working late on Thursday. So it's now Sunday. I'm just in the greenhouse doing a bit of watering, so I'll show you how much everything's grown since I think it was Tuesday last time I filmed in here. As you might better hear, it's raining again. There's a thunderstorm rolling in again, which will do the outside good. So cucumber, looks like it's a few little cucumbers forming. I need to wire it up and try and run it along the ridge line. The tomatoes, side shoots I potted up, they all look okay. The tomatoes in the greenhouse are now taller than me. I'm over 6 foot, so they're all doing okay. I've got a few more side shoots I need to nip out, and need to tie them off to the canes. These I stuffed a load, if you remember from, well, you'll have only watched it a few minutes ago. I stuffed a load of offshoots into a couple of watering cans. Most of them are stood upright, they look okay. I'll have to offload them soon, taking up space now. That's a sweet pepper, got a lovely sweet pepper growing on there. Some chilies forming, looking forward to them. That's the actual tomato graft I did on Tuesday. Now the one that's pointing backwards actually looks like that's taken, that looks okay. The front one still a little, I'm not ruling it off yet, but that one might have failed. It's a little bit limp, but certainly the one at the back looks like it's taken. The leaves sort of open and it's standing back upright, so that's a good sign. These two tomatoes are doing okay. This one is one of them beefsteak, it's a massive fruits. These others are okay, just need tying back up to the cane. On the outside, I'll go outside. The sweet corn and that looks like it's doing okay. Onions are doing okay. There's 2 climbing beans in amongst there that have survived and started climbing up the stalks. I need to get in and weed all that. This is the garlic bed, and again that needs a good weeding now. This vine weed, absolutely, I've just ripped a pile of it out, and it just strangles your garden. So I need to sort of clear a space up the side and give this bed a good weeding, get them thistles out. So this garlic can see some light again. This is where I planted the cabbages. They all seem to be growing fine in there. Some red cabbage and green cabbage, and I think there's some cauliflower as well. I also, I just see them. That's some beetroot. With some of the red onions, beg your pardon, dying off. I bought another tray of red onions from the nursery, so I replaced a couple of clumps in here. I'll take the rest of the allotment with me. And I also bought a tray of beetroot, so those are the onions, leeks down the outside there. White onions down the middle, red onions on the right. Still obviously need to give this or finish clearing it. I cleared a lot of it. That's what's it's a bit naughty really. Nurseries, anything that's a root vegetable won't transplant, so if people buying these and trying to separate them into single plants and planting them, they're not going to get a very good crop, because chances are separating them, these rely on a single taproot, and if you break that taproot, the plant's not going to do anything. So what I've done, rather than trying that, I've just pulled a clump out and planted the entire clump. So they will actually still grow. They'll just push each other aside as they grow, but it's one way of doing it. But I wouldn't, if you do buy anything like that, don't try and separate them into single plants. Nothing will grow. They're obviously the remaining red onions, so I'll take them to the allotment. These are some more climbing beans. I've decided to plant them into these giant peat pots in the hope it'll, they'll get a good start in there, and whatever was killing them off won't kill them off. I'll probably take these to the allotment. You can hear that thunder in the distance. So hopefully the ground will get a good soaking. Still got a pile of stuff on the old wheelbarrow there that needs burning. Well, won't do that today now, it'll all be damp, but I'm going to have a go at pruning this tree a bit as well before the afternoon's out. Found all the parts to a telescopic pruner I bought a while ago, so I'll rig that up and have a go. I don't know if anybody's ever grown blueberries of their own, but the taste on homegrown blueberries is so different to any you buy in the shop. Small vineweed. If you've got any of this vineweed in your garden, you need to try and deal with it. Doesn't kill easily, but if you can kind of bruise the leaves and spray it with a weed killer, eventually it will break down. But it's one of them, if you pull it out, if you just leave even a small piece of the root in the ground, it'll keep growing from it. Same with that horsetail or mare's tail, whatever they call it. So I'll tie these tomatoes off and snap out the new side shoots, and I'll bring you back in a bit. Don't know if that's in focus. I've added a string up along the ridge line, which is something the cucumber should be able to climb along. I've watered everything. I've tied off the tomatoes up the canes as far as they're ready to go. There's a couple of them I've nipped the tops out because they'll just end up curling up against the roof. Different people have different methods for like helping the tomatoes pollinate. Either just rely on bugs. I find just tapping the canes every time I come in, I'll just walk along, tap the canes, and that allows the pollen. Now, some people use little paint brushes, some people use water misters, but to be honest, I get really good yields just doing this, and that also helps the dead flowers from dropping off once they've germinated a bit. Obviously a bit gentler with these, they're on a string. Still raining out there, so I might not be able to do that prune that tree what I'd like to have done. Oh, it is easing up a bit. Still a long way to go, but at least got a few things growing. There is a bit of light at the end of the tunnel. Amazing how quick all the weeds come back, considering these beds were all cleared of weeds completely. And this vineweed is an absolute nightmare, it just takes over and strangles everything. So, still plenty to do, but it's encouraging to see. Out the window I can see how stuff's growing a bit taller every day. Some sort of self-sown, I say self-sown. Some kind of a fruit tree. It has cherry type flowers. This I'm stood under now is a plum tree. A few little plums forming. Needs a really good prune. But that lot's just stopping light from getting to the greenhouse, so I think that'll be my next thing, to try and trim that a bit, get a bit more light through onto the greenhouse. The evening sun sort of sets at the front of the house, so it comes kind of over my garage roof, and that's the last light of the day that hits the greenhouse. Right, I think that'll do me for today. Thanks for watching. Like I say, this will be 2 or 3 videos joined together, I think, over the space of a week. Thanks again. Cheers now.